I pulled into the driveway around noon that day, earlier than usual because a power outage at the warehouse had sent everyone home. I'm William, 55 years old, and I've spent over 20 years as a logistics supervisor in Michigan, handling long shifts to keep our family afloat without much recognition. My wife Mia and I have been married for 28 years, raising 2 grown kids, our son in his late 20s working construction out of state, and our daughter in her mid-20s who lives nearby and drops by often. We live in this comfortable suburban home we've called ours since the kids were small, with me covering most of the mortgage from my paycheck while Mia managed the house and did some freelance consulting on the side. I was exhausted from the morning mess at work, trucks delayed and systems down, so all I wanted was to step inside, make a quick lunch and rest before they called us back. Welcome to Brian's Stories. I share new life stories here every day, and I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and liked my video. Drop a comment down below, telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. I read every single comment, and it helps me to know I'm not alone in this. I grabbed my keys from the truck, the familiar jangle in my hand, and headed to the front door. It looked just like always. The paint a little faded from the winters. The mat Mia chose last year still there. I slid the key into the lock, turned it, but it wouldn't budge. I tried again, jiggling harder, thinking maybe the cold had jammed it. No luck. "Mia," I called out, knocking firmly. "You in there? Door's stuck or something." The door opened after a moment, and a stranger stood there, a man in his 40s, wearing jeans and a flannel shirt, holding a toolbox like he owned the place. "Can I help you?" he asked, looking me up and down. "This is my house," I said, my voice steady but confused. "My key isn't working. Who are you?" He set the toolbox down and crossed his arms. "Your house? I just bought it last week. Closed on it and moved in. I'm the owner now." "Bought it?" My heart skipped. From who? This has got to be a mix-up. "I've lived here almost 30 years with my wife." "From Mia," he replied casually. "She sold it to me, had all the papers in order. Here's the deed if you want to see." He grabbed a folder from the entry table, our table, and showed me the document. Mia's name is seller, his is buyer, and a signature that was supposed to be mine, but wasn't. Forged, my name erased like I never existed. I stepped back, the world tilting. "I didn't sign this. We own it together." "This can't be legal," he shrugged. "Look, the realtor said it was all good. Maybe talk to your wife." "Sorry, man." I nodded numbly and walked to my truck, dialing Mia as I sat inside. It went to voicemail. "Mia, what's going on? Some guy says you sold our house. Call me." Minutes later, a text. "It's done, William. I sold it for a fresh start. The money's mine." Then a voicemail, her voice cold. "You were always at work, never here. I handled everything, forged what I needed. I'm moving on. Goodbye." I replayed it, flashbacks hitting me, the kids' laughter in the yard, us refinancing through tough times, me swallowing her sharp comments at family gatherings to keep peace. I'd endured her moods, skipped promotions for stability, trusted her completely. Now this? Our home, gone. Forged papers, drained accounts. I checked the bank app. Half the money transferred out. The betrayal burned deep, humiliation mixing with despair. But as I stared at the house, something stirred inside me. A quiet resolve. I couldn't just accept this erasure. I had to find out how far she'd gone. I couldn't let Mia's voicemail just hang there like that. After staring at my phone in the truck for what felt like forever, I decided to find her. I knew she'd be at her friend Amelia's apartment downtown. She'd mentioned a sleepover there last night, calling it a break from our routine. My hands gripped the wheel tight as I drove the 20 minutes over, my mind replaying that cold message over and over. The forged signature on the deed burned in my thoughts, and checking the bank app again showed half our savings gone. I parked outside the building, took a steadying breath, and headed up the stairs, knocking hard on Amelia's door. Amelia answered, her eyes widening when she saw me. "William, Mia didn't say you were coming. She's resting. I need to see her now," I said, my voice firmer than I felt inside. "This can't wait." She stepped aside reluctantly, and there was Mia on the couch, sipping coffee like nothing had happened. She looked up calmly, setting her mug down. "What are you doing here, William? I told you goodbye." "Goodbye? You sold our house behind my back," I shot back, stepping closer. "Forged my name on the deed. Drained our account. That's not goodbye, that's stealing. Explain it, Mia." "Right now," she sighed, crossing her legs. "Stealing? Don't exaggerate. We've been buried in debts for years. The credit cards, that home equity loan for the kids' tuition. You were always at work, logging those endless shifts, leaving me to handle everything alone. The house deeds were in my name mostly since I managed the paperwork. I had every right to sell and clear us out." "Your name mostly? We bought it together," I said, my heart pounding. "I paid the mortgage for decades. You can't just forge my signature and take the money for your fresh start." "Where's the cash going? And that watch on your wrist looks brand new, expensive. Is that from our house?" Her eyes flicked to the gold watch, sparkling under the lamp, then back to me with a shrug. "A client gift, nothing to do with the sale. See, this is you, always jumping to conclusions. We've drifted apart because of your job, William. Late nights, weekends gone." I felt invisible. The sale pays off debts with some left for me to start over. "You can, too, find a cheap place. Keep working like always." I paced the small living room, spotting her evasive glance when she mentioned the deeds. It didn't add up. "Pay off debts? Show me the transfers then. Prove it. And forging my name, that's illegal." "We were a team, Mia. 28 years. I put up with your snide remarks at dinners, your moods, because I thought we had trust." "Trust?" She leaned forward, her voice sharpening. "Where was the trust when you chose overtime over family time?" "I raised Jennifer and Mike mostly. Alone. They get it. They texted me worried about me. Not you." My phone buzzed then, and I checked it. Jennifer. "Dad, Mom said the sale was to fix money problems you both knew about. Why didn't you say anything?" Mike. "Heard from Mom. Said it was mutual. You okay?" "You told them it was mutual," I demanded, showing her the screen. "That's a lie. You're twisting this to make me the villain." Mia stood up, her calm cracking just a bit. "It's not twisting, it's the truth from my side. You were absent, William, emotionally gone. The kids see that. Jennifer called me crying, asking if I was safe. Mike thinks you ignored the warning signs. Maybe ask why they believe me first." The words hit like a slap, deepening the ache in my chest. Had I really been that blind? The kids' texts made me feel cut off, like she'd already won them over. Frustration boiled up, mixing with self-doubt. "This isn't about blame. It's fraud. You planned this, didn't you? Help from someone. The realtor." "I don't need to explain," she said, turning away. "Talk to a lawyer if you want. But it'll just hurt the kids more. Let it go, for their sake." Amelia hovered in the doorway. "William, maybe you should leave. Give her space." I ignored her, staring at Mia. "Space? You took our home, our life." Anger surged now, pushing past the confusion. But as I stormed out, slamming the door, those red flags, the watch, her glances, stuck with me. The kids' doubt stung worst, fueling a rage that simmered hot. I wasn't done. In the truck, I texted Jennifer back. "It's not what she said. Call me." Isolation wrapped around me. But so did a spark of determination. I had to uncover the rest, no matter how much it hurt. That night in the motel, the cheap sheets scratching my skin. I couldn't shake Mia's words from the confrontation. I paced the room, my mind racing through the lies she'd fed me and the kids. Despair hit hard at first, making me question if I'd really been that absent husband she painted me as. But then I grabbed my laptop, refusing to let her win. I logged into Michigan's public property database anonymously, using incognito mode to avoid any trail. The transaction logs loaded up, and right away, discrepancies glared back at me. The sale price undercut by thousands, tied to some obscure LLC. This isn't right, I muttered to myself, screenshotting everything. She sold it cheap for a reason. I called work the next morning, faking a Lucasac bug for the first time in years. "Yeah, boss, I'll be in Lucasoro," I said over the phone, my voice steady despite the knot in my gut. Then I checked our shared calendar. Mia had a client meeting at the corner coffee shop. I drove there early, parked across the street with my hat low, and waited. She arrived on time, that luxury watch catching the sun as she sat outside. A slick guy in a suit joined her, briefcase in hand. I edged closer, hiding behind a parked van, close enough to hear without being seen. "The deal closed perfectly," Mia said, her voice light, almost giddy. "William suspects nothing solid yet. Profits are rolling in, your cut for the paperwork, mine for orchestrating it all." He leaned in, smirking. Undervaluing was genius. That investor we looped in, he's already flipping it for double. The forged signature held up, no red flags at closing. "Exactly," she replied, sipping her latte. "I've been planning this for over a year. Debts were an excuse. This is my ticket out. William's always buried in work, made it easy to handle everything." "What about loose ends?" he asked, glancing around. "The medical records you faked, claiming his incapacity? That could bite back if he digs." She laughed softly. "He won't. He's too passive. But if he does, deny everything. The investors got our backs. That under-the-table bonus seals it." I froze behind the van, my phone recording every word. Boasting about profits? A shady investor profiting from our home? Anger surged through me, replacing the confusion. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a full scheme. I slipped away before they finished, heart pounding as I drove back to the motel. "She's been plotting for a year," I whispered to the empty car. "Faking my incapacity? That's low, even for her." Back in the room, I pulled up our shared cloud storage on my phone. We'd linked it ages ago for photos, and she hadn't disconnected me. I dove into the deleted notifications folder, recovering alerts from her apps. Timestamps popped up. Emails from last year coordinating with that investor. Details on undervaluing the house for quick flips. One attachment stopped me cold, a falsified medical record claiming I had cognitive issues, signed by some doctor I'd never met. "Incapacity declaration for property control," it read. She'd used it to justify sole ownership. "How could you?" I said aloud, staring at the screen, tears blurring my vision. The anguish hit like a wave, shattering the last bit of love I held for her. I'd sacrificed promotions, endured her dismissals, all for our family, and she'd painted me as incompetent to steal it all. But the despair flipped to fury fast. "No more," I told myself, saving the files to a secure drive. "This is evidence, real proof." My phone buzzed, Jennifer texting, "Dad, Mom says you're harassing her. What's going on?" I called her right then. "Sweetie, it's worse than you think," I said, my voice tight with resolve. She faked documents, involved shady people. "I've got proof now." Jennifer hesitated. "Proof?" Mom said it's all misunderstandings from stress. "It's not," I insisted. "She forged medical records saying I'm incapable. Over a year of planning. Trust me, I'll show you soon." Mike texted next. "Dad, ease up. Mom's worried you'll do something rash." "Rash?" I replied aloud before typing back. "She's the one who stole our home. I've overheard her admitting it. Give me time." The revelations fueled me, turning shock into a burning drive for justice. No longer passive, I organized the evidence. Database logs, the recording, those cloud files. Mia's deceit ran deep, but I was uncovering it layer by layer. Anguish still gnawed, but determination won out. This fight was mine now. After uncovering those falsified records, I holed up in that dingy motel room for what felt like an eternity. The walls closing in on me like the life I'd built was crumbling to dust. The evidence I'd gathered sat on my laptop, mocking me, proof of Mia's year-long scheme. But what good was it if I was too broken to use it? Eviction demands flooded my email, the buyer's lawyer firing off threats about trespassing on his property, the home where I'd raised our kids and poured my sweat into every payment. I ignored the first few, but when my phone rang again that afternoon, I picked up, my voice barely above a whisper. "This is your final warning," the buyer growled on the line. "Stay away from the house, or I'll have you arrested. Your wife sold it fair and square. Deal with your domestic mess elsewhere." "It's not fair," I shot back, my hands trembling. "She forged my name, faked medical docs, saying I'm incompetent. I've got recordings, emails." He cut me off with a harsh laugh. "Save it for court if you can afford one. You're just a bitter ex now. Hang up and move on." I tossed the phone aside after that, sinking onto the bed as waves of helplessness crashed over me. Isolation hit hardest. Mia had poisoned the well with Jennifer and Mike. her version making me out to be the absentee dad who'd driven her away. Texts from the kids earlier echoed her lies. Jennifer asking if the debts were really that bad. Mike suggesting therapy for my anger. I'd endured her moods, skipped career moves for family stability, swallowed humiliations at gatherings where she'd dismiss me like an afterthought. And for what? To be erased, painted as demented and disposable. Tears came then, silent and burning as I curled up, doubting my worth. Had I really failed them all? The despair was total, like I'd lost not just the house, but my identity, my family. Rockbot, Lucas felt like this, alone in a stale room, bombarded by legal threats, wondering if fighting was even worth it. But then my phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer, our eldest at 25, the one who'd always been closest. Dad, something's off. Mom posted family pics on Facebook, but you're cropped out in some, like she's rewriting history. And her story about the sale? She told me last week it was for debts, but now she says it was mutual. What the hell? I stared at the message, a tiny spark cutting through the fog. Send me the screenshots, I texted back, sitting up straighter, and call me, please. She rang seconds later. Dad, I just saw these altered photos, us at Christmas, but without you. It's creepy. Hints she's trying to erase you. Why would she do that? I took a deep breath, the vulnerability raw in my voice. Because she's been lying, sweetie. Planning this for over a year. Faked records saying I have dementia to sell the house alone. Involved some shady investor for profits, not debts. Jennifer paused, her tone shifting from doubt to concern. Dementia? That's insane. You're sharper than anyone. Those discrepancies in her stories. I overlooked them before, but now, I'm sorry I leaned her way at first. What can I do? Just believe me, I said, relief flooding in. Share more if you see it. And talk to Mike, get him to question her too. I will, she promised. We're not losing you, Dad. Love you. That call was the turning point, pulling me from the abyss. Jennifer's loyalty shifting, her stumbling on those rewritten narratives. It showed me as cracks were visible to others. I wasn't utterly alone. Bolstered, I reached out to Lucas, my old warehouse colleague who'd gone into fraud detection after his own ugly split. Lucas, it's William. Need your expertise bad, I texted. He called back quick. William, been ages. What's the trouble? Mia sold our house, forged everything, faked my medicals, I explained, laying it out. Got database logs, a recording of her boasting profits, cloud emails. Lucas whistled. That's criminal fraud. Compile the digital footprints, timestamps on transactions, affidavits from what you overheard. Witness statements could seal it. File a police report for identity theft, then a restraining order on the transfer. How do I start? I asked, my resolve hardening. Send me what you have, he said. I'll guide you through building the dossier. You've got leverage here. Don't let her bury you. Thanks, Lucas, I replied, a plan forming. This means everything. By evening, Mike texted too. Jennifer clued me in. Those photos are bogus. Mom's slipping up. Count me in, Dad. With my kids turning and Lucas's advice, the helplessness faded into strategy. I organized the evidence that night, the spark igniting into fire. Mia had pushed me low, but I was rising, ready to counter. The fight wasn't over, not by a long shot. With Lucas's advice ringing in my ears and the kids starting to see through Mia's lies, I felt a surge of energy that morning in the motel room. I brewed a pot of cheap coffee from the machine in the corner and sat down at the small desk, spreading out my printed screenshots and notes. The evidence was stacking up. The forged deed, the voicemail confession, the bank transfers, the property database discrepancies, that voice recording from the coffee shop meeting, and now those recovered cloud emails with the falsified medical records. Jennifer had sent me more screenshots of Mia's altered social media photos overnight, and Mike confirmed he'd noticed her evasive answers when he called her. I wasn't alone anymore, and that gave me the push to act. I called a local lawyer, Lucas recommended, a guy named Paul who specialized in family fraud cases, and set up a meeting for that afternoon. Bring everything you have, Paul said over the phone. If it's as bad as it sounds, we can move fast on a restraining order. I gathered it all into a folder, my hands steady now, and drove to Paul's office in downtown Michigan, a modest building with a view of the busy street. Paul was in his late 40s, sharp-eyed with a no-nonsense attitude, and he flipped through my dossier right away. "This is solid, William," he said, pointing to the timestamps on the emails. "The medical forgery alone could get her in hot water. We'll petition for a temporary restraining order on the house transfer today. Freeze the assets until a hearing. Submit these tampered records to the county clerk and maybe the police for fraud investigation." "How long will that take?" I asked, leaning forward in the chair. "A day or two for the TRO if we push it as urgent," Paul replied. "But expect pushback. She'll counterclaim, say it's marital dispute, not fraud." We filed the petition online that hour, attaching scans of the evidence, and by evening, the court had issued a temporary hold on the property deed transfer. I exhaled deeply as I read the email confirmation in my truck outside his office. Finally, something going my way. But Mia wasn't one to sit idle. The next morning, my phone lit up with messages from mutual friends and extended family, cousins, old neighbors. One from my sister. "William, Mia's telling everyone you've been unreliable, forgetting bills, even hinting at gambling issues. What's going on?" Another from a work buddy. "Heard you're in denial about the sale. Mia says you agreed but backed out. You okay?" I stared at the screen, anger bubbling up. She was leaking distorted stories, painting me as the unstable one to discredit me before I could expose her. "Classic deflection," Lucas said when I called him. "Fight fire with fire. Got any more leverage?" "Yeah," I told him. "Our home security cameras. I have access to the app. She didn't change the password." I logged in from the motel and scrolled through the footage, timestamps clear as day. There were clips from the past year. Mia meeting that slick investor guy in our driveway late at night, handing over documents. Another of her on the porch with a realtor, laughing as they discussed quick flips. I downloaded the videos, added them to my file, and emailed copies to Paul. "This captures her clandestine meetings," I wrote. "Proof of collusion." Paul called back excited. "These time-stamped logs are gold. We'll attach them to the fraud report. File a counterclaim for defamation if she keeps spreading rumors." I did just that, submitting the camera footage to the authorities along with a statement about her smears. The stakes were rising fast, and it all came to a head 2 days later at an informal arbitration Lucas suggested. A family sit-down at my aunt's house, neutral ground, with extended relatives there to mediate before things went full court. Jennifer and Mike insisted on coming, and Mia agreed, probably thinking she could sway them more. We gathered in the living room, about a dozen of us. My sister, cousins, Mia's brother, the kids, and me. Mia arrived looking composed, dressed in her best blouse, that luxury watch still on her wrist like a trophy. "All right, let's get this over with," my aunt said, sitting everyone down around the big table. "William, you called this. What's your side?" I laid out the basics, keeping calm. Mia sold our house without my knowledge, forged my signature, faked medical records saying I'm incompetent. She's been planning it for over a year with some investor for profits. I have emails, recordings, camera footage. Mia rolled her eyes. "Oh, please, this is paranoia. We discussed selling months ago. William's work stress made him forget. The medical stuff, just paperwork to speed things up since he's always absent. And those profits? Debts paid off, that's all." Jennifer jumped in, her voice firm. "Mom, that doesn't add up. You cropped Dad out of family photos online, rewriting history. And the stories you told us keep changing." Mike nodded. "Yeah, you said it was mutual, then debts only. Which is it?" Mia's composure slipped, her face flushing. "You kids don't understand. Your father was never there, over time, ignoring us. I dreaded aging alone, stuck in that house with a man who prioritized his job over me. I needed financial security, my own way out. Yes, I bent rules, but for survival." "Bent rules?" I said, my voice rising. "You falsified records, stole half our savings, involved shady deals. This wasn't survival, it was ruthless. You crossed lines I never thought you would, all for greed." Her brother chimed in. "Mia, if there's forgery, that's serious. William's evidence sounds real." She shot him a glare. "Stay out of it. William's exaggerating to save face. He's the one who let debts pile up." "No," I countered, pulling out my phone to play a clip from the security camera. "Listen to this. You and that investor talking splits. Time stamped." The room went quiet as the audio played. Mia's voice clear. Profit split as agreed. Fresh start worth it. My aunt shook her head. Mia, this looks bad. Why the secrets? Mia stood up, tears starting. Fake or real, I couldn't tell. Because I was scared. Aging alone terrifies me. William's dedication to work left me empty. I needed autonomy, even if it meant this. Suppressed grievances erupted then, my sister recalling Mia's past snide remarks, a cousin mentioning unpaid family loans she'd promised. The tension peaked as Mia defended herself, but the family leaned my way, seeing her dread of loneliness as no excuse for ruin. You aim to destroy me financially, I said finally. But it stops here. By the end, the arbitration wrapped with agreements to hold off until court. But Mia left fuming, estranged glares from the kids. I drove back to the motel, stakes higher than ever, but my case stronger. Her counterattacks had backfired, exposing her motives. With the TRO in place and family witnesses now, I was building momentum. The hunter phase was on. I wouldn't let her bury me. The TRO had frozen the house transfer, and those security camera videos had turned the tide at the family arbitration. But I knew Mia wouldn't go down easy. A week after that tense sit-down, Paul called me with the news I'd been waiting for. The tribunal hearing was set for the next day at the county courthouse in downtown Michigan. It was a formal session to review the fraud claims, with a judge presiding over evidence from both sides. I spent the night in the motel reviewing my dossier. The full stack now included the forged deed, voicemail, bank records, database discrepancies, voice recording from the coffee shop, cloud emails with medical forgeries, altered social media photos, and the camera footage of her secret meetings. Jennifer and Mike had agreed to testify about her changing stories and the photo manipulations. Lucas had hooked me up with an insider tip from the investor's associate, a whistleblower email confirming the collusion and embezzlement, detailing how Mia had siphoned extra funds under the table. I printed it out, adding it to the file, my hands no longer shaking but gripping tight with purpose. This was the climax. I was ready to expose her fully. The courthouse was a gray building with echoing halls, and I arrived early the next morning, dressed in my best shirt and slacks, Paul by my side. Jennifer and Mike met me in the lobby, hugging me quick. "We're here for you, Dad," Jennifer said, her eyes determined. Mike nodded. "Let's end this." Mia showed up minutes before the hearing started, with her own lawyer, a sharp-suited woman who'd probably cost her a chunk of those stolen proceeds. Mia avoided my gaze, sitting across the room with her brother, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her, but I caught the flash of resentment in her eyes. The judge, an older man with a stern face, called the session to order. "This is a review of fraud allegations in property transfer. Mr. Paul, present your case." Paul stood up, handing copies of the dossier to the judge and Mia's side. "Your Honor, my client, William, was defrauded by his wife, Mia. She forged his signature on the deed, falsified medical records claiming incapacity due to dementia, and coordinated with a shady investor for an undervalued sale to pocket illegal profits. Here's the evidence. Public database logs showing discrepancies in the transaction, recovered cloud notifications detailing over a year of planning, and security camera footage capturing clandestine meetings. He played the camera clip on a laptop projector, Mia's voice filling the room. The profits are split, your cut for the flip, mine for the escape." Mia's lawyer jumped in. "Objection, Your Honor. This is hearsay without context. My client acted within marital rights to manage assets amid debts." The judge waved her off. "Overruled. Continue, Mr. Paul." Paul nodded. "We also have an insider email from the investor's associate confirming collusion and embezzlement. Mia received undeclared bonuses while misrepresenting the sale." He read aloud from the printout. "Mia coordinated the under-the-table deal. She forged incapacity, docs to bypass joint ownership, profits embezzled via offshore transfers." The judge leaned forward, eyeing Mia. "Mrs. Mia, your response?" Her lawyer whispered to her, then spoke. "Your Honor, this is a marital dispute. Mia managed the deeds due to William's work absenteeism. Any forgery was to expedite debt relief. No intent to defraud." Mia finally spoke, her voice steady but cracking at the edges. "William was never there, always at the warehouse. I handled everything alone. The medical records? A formality because he was stressed, forgetting things. I sold to pay debts, not for profit. He's twisting this out of spite." The judge turned to me. Mr. William, anything to add? I stood, looking straight at Mia. Your Honor, she planned this betrayal for over a year. I sacrificed for our family, skipped promotions, endured her moods, paid the bills. She crossed every line, faking my dementia to steal our home. That insider tip proves the embezzlement. She didn't just leave me. She tried to ruin me. Mia crumbled then, tears streaming. Fine, I admit it. The motives were bitterness. Your job overshadowed my dreams. I wanted out, financial freedom. The investor helped with the docs, the flip. But I never meant to hurt the kids. Her lawyer tried to interject. Your Honor, this is emotional. The judge cut her off. Enough. Based on the dossier, digital trails, overheard admissions, insider confirmation. The sale is nullified for fraudulent misrepresentation. Mia, you'll face repercussions. Real estate license revocation, if applicable, and restitution orders for embezzled funds. Return the proceeds to joint control immediately. Mia's brother shook his head at her. You went too far, sis. Jennifer confronted her. Mom, how could you? Faking Dad's illness. We're done with the lies. Mike agreed. Yeah, unvarnished deceit. It's all out now. The judge banged the gavel, ending the session. Case resolved in favor of William. Further charges may follow from authorities. As we left the courtroom, Mia approached, chastened. William, I'm sorry. Bitterness blinded me. Save it, I said, walking past with the kids. You get what you deserve now. Paul clapped my shoulder outside. You did it. The perpetrators exposed, repercussions incoming. The triumph washed over me as we stepped into the sunlight. Mia's empire of lies had crumbled in that room, her motives laid bare for all. Our offspring saw the truth, confronting her deceit head-on. I wasn't the victim anymore. I'd hunted down the facts and attacked with them. Freedom felt close, but the scars lingered. Still, this climax had shifted everything. Accountability enforced, dignity on the mend. With the judge's ruling nullifying the sale and ordering Mia to return the proceeds, I left the courthouse feeling like a weight had been lifted off my chest for the first time in weeks. Paul shook my hand outside, saying we'd handle the dissolution proceedings next to ensure equitable division of assets, including compensatory support for the fraud she'd pulled. I nodded, thanking him as Jennifer and Mike flanked me on the steps, the sun hitting us in a way that made the moment feel real. Dad, that was intense, Jennifer said, linking her arm with mine. But you nailed it. She couldn't deny it anymore. We grabbed coffee at a shop nearby, the three of us sitting at a corner table while I caught my breath. Mike leaned forward, his construction-hardened hands wrapped around his mug. So what's next? The house is back in joint control. Does that mean we can sell it properly or what? Yeah, but on our terms, I replied, stirring my coffee slowly. Paul's filing for divorce right away. I'll claim half the proceeds plus damages for the embezzlement. Mia's facing fines, maybe even probation for the forgery. Her real estate consulting gig. License revoked, just like the judge said. Jennifer nodded, her eyes still red from the courtroom tension. Good. She deserves it after faking those medical records. I can't believe she admitted the bitterness thing. Your job overshadowing her dreams. That's no excuse for ruining you. I sighed. The memories of our life flashing by again. The good times mixed with the silent hurts I'd buried. It hurts, but it's over. She's relocating, probably to her sisters in Ohio, chastened and cut off from you two. You confronted her deceit head-on in there. That meant everything to me. Mike reached over, clapping my shoulder. We're family, Dad, not her version anymore. We'll help with whatever comes next. Back at the motel that afternoon, I packed my few things, knowing I wouldn't stay there much longer. Paul called with updates. The restitution order had Mia transferring the sale funds back to a joint escrow account within the week under court supervision to prevent more tricks. You've got leverage now, he said. The evidence dossier sealed it. Pursue the divorce, and you'll get your share plus compensation for the fraud. Maybe an extra 20 grand for the emotional distress. Sounds fair, I told him. Thanks for guiding me through this mess. No problem, Paul replied. You've rebuilt strong. Stay in touch. I hung up and drove to the house, where the buyer had already vacated per the nullification ruling. The key worked this time, the door swinging open to familiar smells, the faint lavender from Mia's old candles, the wood polish I'd used on the floors last summer. I walked through the rooms, touching the walls we'd painted together, the kitchen where we'd argued over bills. It wasn't home anymore, not without the trust, but it was mine to decide on now. Jennifer texted. Coming over with pizza? Mike too. We can talk about listing it properly. Sure, I texted back. See you soon. They arrived an hour later, boxes in hand, and we sat in the living room eating on the couch like old times. Dad, you thinking of keeping this place? Mike asked between bites. I shook my head. Nah, too many memories. We'll sell it fair market, split the real profits after the divorce. I'm looking at a cozy condo downtown, smaller, easier to manage, closer to work too. Jennifer smiled, setting her slice down. That sounds good. And us? We'll visit lots. No more distance like before. Deal, I said, pulling them into a hug. You two are what matters. Mia exploited us all, but we're stronger without her games. As they left that evening, I stood on the porch watching their cars pull away. The neighborhood quiet under the streetlights. Mia called once, her number flashing on my phone. I let it go to voicemail. William, the transfer's done, she said in the message, her voice flat and defeated. I'm moving out of state. Tell the kids. I'm sorry for everything. I deleted it without replying. No anger left, just closure. The next week, Paul finalized the dissolution papers, and I signed them in his office, claiming my half plus the compensatory support, enough to cover the motel stays, legal fees, and a fresh start. Mia relocated soon after, estranged from Jennifer and Mike, who blocked her after one last tense call where she tried to justify it all again. With the house restored and the divorce rolling, I moved into that condo a month later, a 2-bedroom with a balcony view of the city. Simple furniture I picked out myself. I channeled my energy into self-growth, joining a gym near work, even taking an online course in logistics management to aim for that promotion I'd skipped years ago. The kids visited often. Jennifer bringing her boyfriend one weekend, Mike sharing stories from his job sites. One evening, sitting on the balcony with a beer, I pondered the reclaimed equity. The house sold quick at full value, my share deposited without issue. The triumph over her treachery fortified me, a reminder that loyalty could shatter, but resolve rebuilt it all. Unburdened at last, I looked out at the lights, ready for whatever came next. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine again. Sometimes, what we need isn't advice, but someone to stand by us and say, that's enough. If this story brings you even a little relief, drop a comment down below telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. I read every line, and I make these videos to remind you, you are not alone. On screen right now, you'll see 2 new stories I think you'll really enjoy. There are many more waiting for you on the channel, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll never miss one. See you in the next story. Until then, take care of yourself and the people you love. With all my love and respect,